we started to go through with Keely, the use of exporting mixes to Feeds Manager so that the Feeds Manager can then send it out to the mill, make adjustments to the mix, and then see those adjustments back in the farm through a feed bank. And I'll just show you how this works. So we're going to share my screen. And I'm going to share that. I have this mix here and I want to send this out to the mill for formulation. So I'm going to export mixes. I'm going to choose the grower pellet in this case, and I'm going to export it to Feeds Manager. So I'm going to say okay. Now I'm going to close my program because I'll have to open and close it one more time anyway. So yes, I'm going to exit the program. Now I'm going to import mix formulation, choosing AMTS Nutrition, assigning it to this mill, and then I'm going to import this mix. So this is the grower pellet. It came from Roy Kent in this case. And then I'm going to go to the mixes and I'm going to look at that mix. This grower pellet, part of my ability to trace what mix exactly is being fed on the farm and how to bill the farmer is that I date my mixes. And in the past, changing the name of the mix made it so that it didn't reconcile on the farm. And so now with this new Feeds Manager program, we're able to make it so that the nutritionist can create a mix on the farm that's custom for that farm, push it to Feeds Manager. The Feeds Manager then makes changes that he has to make in order for it to work in the mill. And since the mill works on an as-fed basis, I'm going to go ahead and do this in as-fed. I'm going to set my poundage to 2000. And the mill has sent back the formulation, and it's slightly different than what Roy pushed up. So I want to change it to go back out on the farm. So I'm going to make this the 500 pounds that the mill said it needed to be. And I'm just going to bring this back down. Let's see, I need to decrease something. So I'm going to also increase this one to 300 pounds. And if I were working off a sheet or importing it, it would do all this automatically, but I'm just doing this roughly. So rounding always throws us a little off because of the sensitivity of how many digits it's going out and the addition, but this will be fine. It'll be a ton as fed. So these are the new quantities. And I'm going to date my grower pellet because that's how I do it in this mill. And I'm going to go ahead and submit it. I don't want to change the source ID because that's going to help it with its reconciling. And I don't want to change the mill ID. So I'm going to go ahead and submit it. And I'm going to look at it, just double check it in my feeds bank. So I'll go to mixes. And I'm going to make sure that the grower pellet is there with a name. It is not locked because Roy may want to do some more editing on it in a couple weeks, but it is set to custom for farm. So you can see the rest of that. So now I'm going to add it to a feed bank. I've got Roy's mixes, this feed bank here. I just want to add another feed to it. So let's add feeds. I'm going to choose a mix. I'm going to add that grower pellet. And I'm going to submit it. And then I'm going to publish it. So now I'm going to open my nutrition. And I'm going to bring that back into the farm. I've already downloaded the Roy's Mixes feed bank. So when I open this farm, we'll see if it tells me I have a new feed to reconcile. And it does. So it's telling me that I have a change to that grower pellet, and I'm going to choose to reconcile it. So I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to reconcile it. I'm going to go to my recipes. I think it was being fed to heifers. Let's see if we can find where that pellet's being fed. Heifer mineral. Yeah, grower pellets. So now I can look at that and I can see the reformulation in terms of what it said it was going on. And this is probably on a dry matter basis. So let's see, display options. Do it on an as-fed basis. Yeah, so that is how it works. We'll be making much more detailed videos with this, but that is how you can bring the values in for your grower pellet or for updates to mix by exporting and then bring it back in. If I wanted to make edits to this now, I would go ahead. Oh, let me set this to 2000 so I can compare these. Cancel. So let me pull this over so that you can compare side by side. Let's straighten this down a little bit. Here's the updated formulation. You can see there's a little bit of rounding differences between the two. This is just carrying it out 1 decimal, but it's essentially the same recipe. And now if I wanted to repeat that process, I can go into my recipes where I'm feeding this and I can make changes so that I can make changes to my diet with that new formulation. And then go back over here and say, oh no, I need this changed. So that is the process. It works very nicely to be able to use Feeds Manager as a tool so that you can communicate between the farm and the mill without the necessity of having multiple mixes, because you can now change the name of the mix and still have it reconciled so that you can both track it on your ERP system and also make it work on your farm by reconciling.